Welcome back, everybody, to the Pittsburgh Pirates franchise as we are still in spring training, and I have to tell you, I am massively disappointed and let down. My PlayStation has somehow not wanted me to transfer the file. I spoke about it briefly in the end of the last video where I had footage but no sound, and it turns out that there was about an hour's worth of footage recorded that had no game audio, and I don't know why. I changed no settings. I had nothing different from what I always do, but somehow there was an issue. So let me briefly recap with you guys now. We ended the last episode after taking a big-time victory over Baltimore. We then moved on to face Minnesota, where we won 4-0 in a shutout, courtesy of Jared Jones. We then take 2 losses in a row between Philadelphia and Atlanta, before meeting Baltimore again and beating them even worse. We had the same score, but held them to 1 less run. Zach Littell got the win, and Cade Povich picked up the loss. Minnesota comes back in, and now they turn the tables and they win a game. Then on the 28th, we face Tampa Bay. Dowry Moretta gets the loss there, and Andrew Wantz gets the win, and he went 3-0 now to get through this point in the year with an ERA of 0.68. Once again, we meet Baltimore, and once again, for the third time in a row, we defeat them with a very high score. It's now 9-3, and that feels really good, getting 3 in a row against the World Series champs, who we just lost to. So this is kind of a consolation prize moral victory, maybe. We then lose to Detroit 1-9, and then the Yankees, Boston, and Toronto all pile on to deliver losses to us before we meet Baltimore again, and this time in a major offensive day. The pitching collapses on both sides, and we end up losing 9-10. So we have taken a lot of wins so far in spring training against Baltimore, but they finally get one back against us, and Colin Holderman takes the loss. We then face Philadelphia and win 4-2 to try to turn our losing streak around, but then we get delivered 2 losses between Atlanta and Detroit before meeting Baltimore again, and this time we shut them out. Bubba Chandler picks up the win, and I'm not sure how because he has no innings pitched right here, so let's take a look at the box score. Yeah, we used a ton of guys here. As spring training allows, we've got an expanded roster, and a lot of these guys get pinch hit, pinch run, all kinds of stuff. So let's take a look at the pitching and see what happened. Yeah, no, Bubba Chandler did pick up the win off of 1 inning, and it was a clean one. Jared Jones went for 4. He did walk 4 batters, but did not give up a hit at all. In fact, only the last 3 guys to pitch, Clevenger, Abreu, and Harvey, gave up hits, but no earned runs for any of the 6 pitchers used today. That's pretty cool. We then get 2 off days to recover and reset, where we come back and face Minnesota and take a 4-2 victory. And then against Detroit, where we win 6-3 and another win over Baltimore. This has been a fantastic run for us in spring training, specifically against our World Series rivals. Next up is a game versus New York, and all the usual suspects here before we get to the final game of spring training, which is going to be against the Minnesota Twins. I have also trimmed down the roster quite a bit. We're currently at 30 players, and in order to get down to the 26-man roster for the beginning of year 3, we've got to make some tough choices. And I've been experimenting with a few ideas. I do have Luis Arraez in the field at first base after we traded away Spencer Horwitz. I think it's time to see what he can do in the field despite that low fielding rating. I just need him to be okay. He does not need to be great, but I need to have him playing because he's not going to be DHing this year, but his high contact and high vision should allow him to get on base. I mean, that's what we signed his contract for specifically. High average, high OBP. Then we've got Brian Reynolds. Of course, he's going to stay. He's going to be in left field. Jock Peterson is our new DH that we acquired, and so far his average is pretty low, but I know that the power against righties is there, and that's why he's here in the lineup right now. Jack Sawinski is out in right field still, and he represents the cleanup spot with a lot of power, and currently through spring training, he's hitting .328, so he's been doing phenomenal. Next up is the biggest experiment this year, and it's O'Neal Cruz at shortstop. There's simply no room for him in the outfield with the return of Evan Carter, and with Jock Peterson as the DH, it's already forcing the uncomfortable position of Arraez at first, but I had to figure out something. And that means that we had to put O'Neal Cruz at shortstop. Now, that does also mean Colson Montgomery has been sent down to AAA. We still have Max Schumann, who is able to play everything except for first base. So Schumann is going to be kind of our utility backup infielder. He could play outfield if necessary, but that's why I've got Josh Palacios back there. Jared Triolo also can cover first base, second, third, and shortstop. So he's the real infield backup there. Joey Bart remains in the lineup as the catcher, and he is going against righties here at the 6th spot. Carter, as I said, has come back. He's really not doing that hot in spring training either. And I'm really, really hoping that he can turn it on because I'm putting a lot of stock mentally into what Evan Carter can do for this team. We then have Nick Gonzalez, who showed a lot of grit and determination over the last year and into the postseason. He tried, wasn't very effective, but we saw some pretty good increases, and he's up to a 77 right now. So I'm hoping that between him, Triolo, and Schumann, we can kind of rotate out this second base position and see if we can reach some type of working puzzle. Steve Seidlinker at third base might just be the everyday guy. He's batting .283 through 53 at-bats in spring training. He's got 3 home runs so far and 8 RBIs. Now, I have him in the 9th spot, not necessarily because I don't really trust that he's going to have offensive production, but as the rookie in this lineup here, I think that right now, it's more safe to not depend on him. Anything that he can give us is going to be great. I really hope that the average can just be decent. I want to see some home runs probably for his rookie year. I'd say 15 to 20 I would be happy with. I'm looking for like a 240 average, just something that makes me think that yes, he can contribute. He's going to hit the ground running, and so far he is overperforming that metric. Harry Ford will remain on the bench as the backup catcher when Joey Bart needs some days off, and I've toyed with the idea of looking for a left-handed catcher, and so that I can alternate between Bart versus lefties as a right-handed batter, and then a lefty backup catcher who would be put in against right-handed pitchers. So I have that idea in mind, but I do still believe that Harry Ford is going to be able to contribute, and so I have not made any real decisions or movements as far as looking for a left-handed catcher, but it is something that's on my mind. For the pitching rotation, things have been a little strange so far. Paul Skeens, through 20 innings, has a 6.10 ERA. His whip is up to 1.45, but he has really, really been struggling with allowing batters through. And I know spring training doesn't really matter and the trends may not continue, but baseball is very oftentimes a game of momentum. And Paul Skeens right now is traveling backwards. Jared Jones is doing wonderful so far through 15 2/3, where he's got a sub-3 ERA. So I'm happy with what he's been able to do, but I'm going to keep an eye on it for sure because he, as a solid number 2 guy, I think needs to continue to contribute in this way. I'm looking for around a 3 ERA from him, maybe slightly higher. I'd be pretty much fine with anything under 3.5. Andrew Abbott is just about in that area as our number 3. He's pitched 10 innings so far. He's gotten 7 strikeouts and a 3.60 ERA with a 1.30 whip, but he's doing just fine. Shane Baz is another one that is struggling in spring training. He's got 15 innings pitched. He did rack up 13 strikeouts, but that ERA at an even 6 right now is looking pretty grim. The whip at 1.60 is also far too high as well. Zach Littell is doing a little bit better and somewhat of a turnaround as we were really able to depend on Skeens and Baz through the postseason. Zach Littell was not the guy, but here in spring training right now, he's doing better than both of them. And so it's kind of a weird up and down situation. In the bullpen, with the addition of Brian Abreu and the other elite guys that we have, there's definitely an opportunity to make some changes. And what I'm thinking right now is Carson Fulmer and Carmen Mlodzinski are the 2 most likely candidates to be either traded or sent down. Carson Fulmer, as a 33-year-old, C potential 76 overall. I did cover it last time that his numbers were still improving. They don't show anything on the screen now because the show is a little strange with showing these stats and the attributes upgrades, but at 33 years old, near the top of his potential, he doesn't really have anywhere to go. And so his last MLB stats in 2026, where he had 52 innings pitched. It was a 4.61, and it was his worst year. So I'm hoping that we can squeeze a little bit more out of Carson Fulmer and get some use out of him, but if not, he's going to be a likely candidate to go. Carmen Mlodzinski, meanwhile, has really started to show some promise, and through 7 1/3 pitched, he's only got 3 strikeouts, but that ERA at 2.45 and the whip at 109 look very appealing. He is 28 years old, but also near the top of his potential, and despite that high clutch rating, we have had issues in the past with him allowing runners to score, and so Mlodzinski is another one that I really am taking a close look at as we're trimming this roster down and trying to make improvements where we can. So like I said, Abreu, our new acquisition, he's here and he's doing great. 11 innings pitched with a 2.31 ERA and a near solid 1 whip. Absolutely nothing to worry about, and I didn't think that there would be. He's an 83 overall, and when we got him, he immediately became the highest rated overall bullpen guy that we have. Hunter Harvey continues to impress and be phenomenal. He's got 12 innings pitched with 12 strikeouts and a 0 ERA. Harvey has been immaculate so far. Garrett Clevenger, near the same. 12 innings pitched, but in a different way. Only 6 strikeouts. The whip is a little bit higher, but when he gets guys on base, that clutch rating must kick in because his ERA is only a 0.75. Dauri Moreta is another one that I am very likely going to either trade or send down. He's a 77 overall. Through 10 innings, he's been absolutely fine. He's got 9 strikeouts and a 3.48 ERA, but the whip is a little high from what I'd like to see. It's a 1.55. He's 30 years old with C potential and a 77 overall. So another one that is possibly at the ceiling, and he doesn't really have any standout attributes. A lot of them look pretty good or league average, maybe even slightly above league average, but it's the performance that matters. And he has not pitched in the major leagues to any lengthy degree since 2023. So Dauri Moreta has been trying his best to get back up to the show, but he's been in the minor leagues for the last several years. And without being able to use him in the MLB roster, that makes him highly likely to not be here come opening day. David Bednar has had 6 perfect innings and 4 strikeouts and a 1.17 ERA. He is absolutely going nowhere. Dennis Santana has had 4 innings and a 4.5 ERA, but that limited sample count does not have me worried. I'm sure Santana is going to be just fine. Colin Holderman is listed as the closing pitcher still. I do intend to keep him right there. With that 98 clutch rating, I think that he's still going to be the guy this year, but I don't expect him to soar to the heights that he did last year where he won Reliever of the Year. I do still have Bailey Falter up here, and he has not played any innings yet. Same thing for Caleb Ferguson and Peter Sturzelecki. So if we look at it and say these 3 guys down at the bottom are people that we've called up just to be in spring training, then that also means that they should pretty much go back down unless they majorly impress. And so far, just over the halfway point of spring training, they have not gotten any reps in. That's partially on the computer for not rotating them in to the rotation. That's a little on the nose to describe it, but it's also kind of on me for not being able to monitor every single player. And that's probably something that I should have caught earlier on to get them a little bit of play time. So I am going to try to get a few reps in with these guys here coming up. So I am going to be trying something new here. As of right now, this very footage, this second, I am on remote play using a different setup than before, and I'm going to see if I can possibly do this with live commentary for the very first time. For those of you who are not aware of the setup that I had, it was very convoluted. So I would record on the PlayStation, the actual gameplay. I would save that footage, put it onto a hard drive, and then transfer that to my computer. Then I would edit the video and get it down to about the length that I wanted and develop the storylines that I wanted with the footage. And then I would do commentary over the top of that footage after it was already edited. So it was like a lot of redundant work that takes me a long time to try to turn around an episode for. And I've been keeping pace lately, but I've had it on my mind that if I can find a quicker, more efficient solution, then I need to try to do that. But remote play has always given me issues, and I might have found a workable solution. So that's what the rest of this episode is going to be. I'm going to try to get into the last games of spring training here. We'll see how far we get in the episode. I'm not positive yet, as this is going to be another thing that I'm going to try to get used to. as live commentary is not typically the way that I've ever done this before. So it's hard now to know what's going to be important and what's not, because I don't have the benefit of doing the commentary after the fact, at least for the most part. I may have to try to fix a few things here and there, but overall, I'm going to try to transition into recording, playing, and commentary all at the same time, and hopefully that will work out to still make an entertaining product for all of you guys. So let's try to get into some more games now. We've got Paul Skeens on the mound versus Luis Hill, and it's going to be the Yankees versus the Pirates, as there's just a little bit over a week left. So let's see if we can get some use out of those extra bullpen arms. I know that we're going to trim down 4 of them eventually. It's just a matter of who goes and who stays. So let's get in here. I do think I want to quick manage just so I can make absolutely certain that we are using those relievers and actually putting them into the game. So Bailey Falter is one of those guys waiting in the wings that I do anticipate sending back down. He's had no innings pitched so far here in spring training. He has not played at the major league level for a full year, but he was pretty good in 25. We just tried to upgrade the starting rotation, so he didn't play anymore in 26. He was in AAA, just trying to work on his craft down there, and with his numbers coming up, he might have done it. So I do want to take a look at Bailey Falter as a starting pitcher, potential replacement if somebody goes down with an injury, or there's some type of situation where we've got a guy that is just failing really hard and we need a different starting pitching option. We've got several of them, but I think it is time to take another look at Bailey Falter. And because we're taking a look at Bailey Falter, I wanted to actually get in the game and also not just look, but I want to feel how it's going to be to perform with this guy. It's going to be important because there's a lot of guys that do end up feeling really, really good when you pitch with them. The ball seems to go where you want, and you can command those pitches really well. You get a kind of a feel for like the movement of certain things. Let's see if we can get Austin Wells to chase outside on a slider. And, well, it's not outside, but the timing gets him, and Wells goes down swinging. Jason Dominguez now, and frustratingly, he is averaging 279. This is another crossover player between the Two Idiots franchise that Panther and I run together, and it's frustrating because he's barely hovering over the 200 mark with us, but here, much closer to 300. A grounder to Arise, and we've got 2 quick outs for Bailey Falter. Oswaldo Cabrera comes in with an even higher average of 290. Let's try to paint the top corner real quick. And that misses, but Cabrera's only able to foul it away. Let's try throwing that splitter on the lower outer edge. I do think that one benefit of doing live commentary is that you guys are going to get a much clearer vision of how I'm thinking in the moment as I kind of explain and walk through certain things. It's going to be much more organic, I believe, than the post-recording, post-edit commentary that I've typically done. And that slider hits a Cruz. Oh, no! And there's our first real mistake with O'Neal Cruz. It just goes right by him. That was a regular ground ball, and yeah, it's going to be scored as an error. So some trouble there at shortstop from O'Neal Cruz. That was one of the concerns of putting him in that position, but I was just hoping that his fielding rating was going to take over and that he would be just fine. But yeah, I don't want to see much more of that. And that's hit to right field for Sawinski. Neil Peralta with a pop-out. There we go. Good inning. Bottom of the 6th, he will be facing Spencer Jones to begin. And let's see. Let's go down and in with a fastball and see how that'll work. The command has certainly been shaky so far. Falter is not really able to get it where I want to just yet. Let's try a 2-seamer that's moving up and in. Yeah, that was a little closer. It's tracking left. Is it going to go foul? Yes. Luckily for us, as that would have been a double. And now we are ahead 0-2 against Spencer Jones. Let's try a splitter on the outer edge. See if we can get him there. It's low and not called for a strike. Very good pitch, though. All right, what about that slider trailing away? The classic slider outside. Well, that catches far too much of the plate and actually elevates up in the zone, but luckily Jones only fouls it away. Let's try that big 12 curve. The 1-2 from Falter. And that gets him to go around. Gonzalez trailing to his left. The throw over, and that's out number 1. We then come back to Anthony Volpe as the lineup turns over. And contact is made. Hopefully Cruz doesn't screw this one up. It's a high pop-up to him. And yes, he's got it. Definitely something to watch here, the fielding of Cruz in this new position for him. And Jonathan India is back in. I'm going to try a splitter low and away. That's a good pitch. That's exactly where I wanted that to land. Excellent job. Let's try a two-seamer, also trailing a little bit away, low and outside. And that's another one, right where I wanted to. There we go. 18 pitches in, and we're finally starting to get it where it's going. Or where I'm aiming, rather. All right, let's try a 12-6 curve on the outside edge. 0-2. India to Arise, who's able to snag it. And it's a foot race, and Arise wins. That's 2 pretty strong innings for Falter. Let's go ahead and make a pitching change again. This time I want to go to, let's say, Sturzelecki. And the Yankees will, in turn, counter with a pinch hit from Dominic Fletcher. All right, Sturzelecki, in all 5 pitches that he has, I want to try that cutter first, low and away. Really good pitch. Just barely nabs the corner of the zone, and he does get the call. That could have gone either way. Let's try a sinker in the same spot, but trailing away. That's really, really good so far. Sturzelecki with the first 2 pitches is near 100% accurate to where I want it. All right, I'm going to try some junk now. Low and away, real low in the zone. And that does get him to make contact. That's a slider that's fouled away. All right, let's try a circle change. Everything's seemingly low and away so far, but... All right, that one was way off. Nothing doing there. Wonder if we can nab the top outside edge with a fastball. Sure can, but it's fouled away from Fletcher, who does not let that pass. I want to go sinker outside. Let's get something fast, low and away. And that is hit, and it goes through past Sidelinker and Cruz into left field, and that's a leadoff hit for Dominic Fletcher. All right, and another Yankees change. It's going to be Robert Turley, who's averaging .323. Wow. All right, let's go fastball low and in. Yeah, pretty much right there. I like that.
0-1.
Let's try to hit that sinker. Yep, nails the outer edge, swing and a miss from Turley. And let's try changing speeds now. I'll aim a little bit lower on the circle change. And that goes nowhere near where I'm trying to get that ball. The circle change has been the most unreliable so far. Let's try a cutter high and outside. Well, it doesn't quite go as high, and that's a foul ball from Turley. Maybe the weird movement of a sinker coming inside and low will work. The 0-2. And contact is made. That just ended up being center bottom of the zone. All right, we haven't thrown a slider at him yet. I wonder if we could backdoor him. And contact is made there. Cruz can't get it either. It goes past him. I was thinking about diving for that, but I thought because of his speed that he'd be able to get over there and field it in time to turn 2. But instead, Turley's got a single. And all of a sudden, from 0 hits, a combined no-hitter we had going against him, they now have the first 2 men on base, and they make another change with a pinch hitter. All right, cutter from Sturzelecki misses barely inside. Let's try to get a fastball in that same spot. Might be more reliable. Yep, that goes there. Gonzalez turns to Cruz, who goes back to first, and Arise gets it. We have turned a nice double play. The runner does get to third base, though, and it's time to really clamp down here. Yankees make yet another change. One of the benefits of spring training is it seems their roster is still very, very large at this point. All right, let's try getting a slider trailing away to begin. Something different. And that's in the dirt. And they're not going to run home on that. Bart recovers it. Let's try a 4-seamer low and in. And perfectly placed. We get the call there. The command's been really good on that fastball. Let's try a cutter low and in. Yes, exactly. Bullseye. All right, let's try that slider one more time as he might protect 1 and 2. And that is hit well, and that goes to left field. A line drive that will unfortunately score the first run of the game, and it goes to the Yankees as Peraza has an RBI single. And Sturzalecki running into some trouble. Let's start off speed. Off speed. Start off speed. Yeah, that's a weird thing to say. All right, swing and a miss on the circle change. Let's try the fastball high and away. We get it high and inside instead. And I want a sinker trailing low and away. Yes, good spot. Fouled away from Cabrera, though. All right, what do we want to throw? Let's try that circle change. I got to keep trying it to see if we can get better at it. Nope, way outside. Still very, very far off in the circle change. It's so weird. It's like one pitch that he can't throw. We try going low and in, and it's too far in. Let's try that backdoor slider. I really love when that works. Really hate when it doesn't, and we miss on it. Okay, it's a full count. Runner will be on the move. Want to try to cutter high in the zone. Let's go. And that's contact, and it's driven way into foul right territory. Try another fastball in pretty much the same spot. Sturzalecki misses by half an inch above the zone, and Cabrera's now on. And I'm going to let Sturzalecki try to work his way out of this. This is his problem, and here in the spring training where the wins and losses don't matter, this is when you test guys. Sturzalecki under the zone. He can't block it. And Bart goes to recover, and the runners advance. Very troubling. All right, let's try going high then. Keep it away from the dirt. Wow, bullseye dead center of the zone pretty much. That is an alarming spot to miss. Try sinker inside, and that is placed very well. 1 and 2. Ready for the strikeout pitch here. It might be the slider. Let's send it. And it's Gonzalez who is going to end the inning, and he grabs it. So they only score 1, but it gives them the lead. For the bottom of the 8th, I do want to make another pitching change, and this time we will bring in Caleb Ferguson. Ferguson has a 4-pitch mix from the left side. Let's try a cutter, low and in, trailing center. And it's a little elevated. Don't like that spot, but Spencer Jones misses it. All right, let's try a sinker low and in now, working inside against the same side, or same-handedness, rather. And it's fouled away. All right, let's try a big-time slurve, low and away. 0-2. Ferguson gets him to pop up to center left field, and Carter with a run. He is there. And they bring in Basabe. Let's try a fastball. Well, not quite where I wanted, but pretty close, and Basabe will swing and miss. Let's try to elevate a fastball up here. That's pretty much there. Sawinski has a chance, but no, it will drop down. He's not quite that fast. If that had been Carter, there maybe would have been like a dive attempt opportunity, but I don't think so. Not with Sawinski. All right, India then. Well, to bring that down the first baseline, and it's foul. Got to be careful when you're warming up over there, as it's just wide open. Let's try that cutter to backdoor him. And beautiful, exactly where I wanted. Let's go. Let's get a sinker, and this is going to be weird because I'm going to go against kind of the idea of a sinker. I want to go high with that, high and outside. Runners on the move. India misses. That's a strikeout. Gonzalez cannot apply the tag in time, so nearly a strikeout double play, but the base is stolen. And now they bring in Giancarlo Stanton, who is averaging .318. Let's try a cutter low and away. Got to be very careful here. We don't get the call. It goes more center of the zone, but it's under. Let's try a sinker. Swing and a miss. Fooled Stanton on the timing there. Not sure what he was expecting. Let's try a high cutter. This is a ballsy pitch right here. Yep, he's underneath it, though, and that's what I was hoping for. Bart going to pick it up near the dugout, and we've got our third out. So ultimately, a pretty good inning. And that'll do it for this episode. I want to thank you guys very much for watching and for your patience and understanding as I try to sort out some of these technical issues. It felt pretty good for me to do the live commentary. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it as well and I didn't ramble that much. But either way, thank you guys for watching. We'll continue looking at relievers next time.